Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Leilui Nishmat Yesterday we had a raffle.
A baby from a bite. Shira.
For this end of a perek. Aaron Grotsky. Now, 5 minutes after this raffle, somebody here in Eretz Yisrael, this is a membership to the zoo and the aquarium, a full year for a full family. And somebody 5 minutes later texted Benny that he has a computer store and he's donating a computer for the next perek, which is only a few days, 4 or 5 days, I think. So that's the next one. So very nice. The Olam is giving. Givaldik. Shalom Aleichem. What's your name?
Aaron Newman.
Aaron Newman from? Baltimore.
Official dress.
Wow. Listen, in the last week or two, we had a few people from Baltimore. I even had the Seychelles. He's from Baltimore. He got you hooked. He just sent me an email yesterday or something that he was in Singapore recruiting. So my question is, there's so many people in Baltimore that are doing this year. How come you guys don't get together and make a matzav, a siyum, milava malki? We got to talk to Fisher. You're gonna go back and we gotta get this off the ground once and for all. Shkoyach. Well, Shalom Aleichem. You look very familiar. For Rockaway. No, Bamas, you look familiar. I'm not joking. Oh, that's what it is. Okay, you're at the Shabbat talk. Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem. Far Rockaway. And what are you doing for Rockaway? Stuff. Does the whole element for Rockaway does stuff? Shalom Aleichem. Okay, great. How excited was that when I received a friendly reminder from the city of New York that I'm a proud member of MDY, Bechi Oberlander, Staten Island, New York. Ksubis, Daf, Chof Aleph. Here it is, a friendly reminder. I didn't mention in the Siyum, it's one magnet per family? He bought it. Yeah, he bought it on the website. Rabbi said, check these Israeli kids out. This is a guy he came to the Siyum here. He says the whole family is in complete. They're in Rakshos and but these guys have a future. Rabbi say, Chaval, Reb Nachman Seltzer doesn't have his choir anymore. These guys are unbelievable. They made their own niggin. Bobe Basre. They have a future. They have a future. Oh, here, Steve Seychelles. I spent a wonderful Shabbos in the Philippines and spoke to people individually over Shabbos about MDY. This morning prior to davening, I learned about the Shabbos daf 6 hours earlier. Toisves. About a minute of lighting candles during the bris, and then there was a bris right there. And it's not very common to have a bris. It's a very small community. He showed the rabbi after davening about to put the candles, and then he learned from the daf, and he promoted MDY like that. Steve Seychelles, he doesn't stop promoting MDY. You changed my life, says Avi Bernstein. My name is Avi Bernstein from Muncie, but I was born in Chicago. I can't believe we're holding a daf. Lamed Dalet. It's a dream come true that I thought would never happen. Baruch Hashem, one day at a time. I work for Tomchei Shabbos in Muncie, and I'm full-time drummer for weddings and simchas. Camp Adas Yirayim. One night during the box packing for Tomchei Shabbos, one of the volunteers, Jerry Isaac, from Teaneck approached me and was telling me that Sanhedrin starting the week. I must join the daf. Shout out to Jerry. I can't thank him enough. You see this? When you tell somebody about the daf, you convince them they can't thank you enough. You have nothing to worry about. They'll be indebted for life. Then I found out that Mark Ashkenazi is involved, a longtime close friend. My shot is on Mark Ashkenazi. How come Mark didn't get him? Okay, it's a different shot. Then I was hooked. Done deal. However busy my day in life, the daf comes first. It's only 35 days in, and the daf comes first. Woke up early today. Boarded a flight with my family to Orlando, Yeshiva week. I downloaded the daf. My son, who lives in Miami, told me he's running away to Orlando for Yeshiva week, next week. And here they are. They're going to Orlando. I better warn my son. Taylor is in Orlando also. Downloaded, he says, just to get down, Collins, it says 25 minutes. Downloaded the daf before I left, and it was the most enjoyable flight to to Florida. Okay, I need this email to end because he's in a basketball game and he's writing an email at an NBA game, and his mishpacha saying, "What are you doing? There's only a few minutes left to the game. Thank you so much for the share. Good energy. The fact that at 55 years old, there's still hope to accomplish in learning. 100%. Here he is, Avi Bernstein. Here he is learning on the plane. This is not a made-up email. He's learning on the plane to Florida, and the most enjoyable flight of his life. Learning with the rebellion in Mexico. Another person here with the cap. Thank you for the Daf Yomi. Every day looking forward to learning with you and train commute to work from West Hampstead to Brooklyn. Started learning with you in November 2021 with the Mesechtes Tainus. I haven't missed a day. Another email, 2 emails like that today of people that haven't missed a day since Tainus. In 2021, that's 3 years ago. For Yeshiva Week, I'm in Playa del Carmen, Mexico. Made sure that I have internet access, so I miss a day of learning. The attached picture, I'm learning Daf, next Karet, jungle. That day, we embarked on an all-day walk and swim. May Hashem grant you the strength to continue teaching the Daf for many years to come, amen, so that people can continue to be a positive influence on so many people. So you can continue to be a positive influence on so many people. Best regards, Howard Apple, West Hampstead, New York. Here he is doing the Daf in the jungle. Yossi Wasserman attaches a picture of a fellow Yid, Meir, who's completely engrossed learning with the shir. It's always great to find out about another MDY guy learning in the same base marriage as you. Keep on going, Meir. Since I'm one of the Chayra, I took upon myself strengthening Shnai Mikra recently. Actually, a mouse is ready to pass Parsha, passing before Sheni. That's why it's on your table. You should call for making the shir. May Hashem bet you a team of angels with brach and atzlach and everything. May Hashem bench you and your team of angels. Ha, angel. You're an angel. He called you that. Hatzlach and everything you need to do. Shlomi Markstein, Monsey, New York, a Talmud from Baba Basser, Daf Beis, and have not missed a daf since. That's 100. That's 200 daf ago. Yeah, 200 plus daf. Wow, 200 days straight. Rabbi said the Masechta is sponsored the Refuah Shelaima for Yosef Chaim Shmuel ben Alte Nechama from his grateful family. The Masechta for Atzlacha Baruchnis ובגשמיות. The Masechta Larry Cohn, a memory of Yechiel Moshe Ben Chaim who started learning Daf Yomi at age 70 and continued for 33 years. Masechta for the unity of the Jewish people. The Masechta Glad Esterson with love and gratitude from Wilmington, North Carolina. Thank you for enriching my life with Torah. The parnassa chodesh, the Nishmat Zechariah ben Moshe, the Nishmat Chaya bas Yosef. Parnassa chodesh Yosef ben Chai Sara for parnassa berevach. Parnassa chodesh is zechus for our children and tremendous parnassa. Parnassa chodesh Leilui Nishmat Yaffa bat Simcha Refuah Shelaima Yisrael Yaakov ben Malka. Shalom Aleichem to all the guys on Zoom. Good morning or good night wherever you are. There's still a lot of people in America. No, it's like, what time is it? 12:01? I don't remember anymore. Where is that from? Schwartz from Manchester. What time is it? 12:15 in New York? There's a couple of people on. The Chacham is not the 12:15. The Chacham is that they're still on at 1. Zechus, parnassa berevach for Baruch Tzvi Nisim ben Shoshana Leah. Kidnovations LLC in honor of Uncle Cohn official. Zechus for Akiva Simcha ben Fego. Shidduch for Rivka Yudas bas Yaffa Chaya. And thank you to Eli Stefansky. Parnassa Yoim, Chaim Shup, in loving memory of Avram and David, sponsored by his grandchildren. Art of the month for Zechus for Rebellion, the whole MDY staff to continue to make Torah so enjoyable for so many. In Art of the month, in honor of Yossi Klein, Mark Ashkenazi for all the work they do. The boys say just a quick Hakar Satoiv to the Rebbeinu Shalom for releasing the hostages. It's a great time for a lot of Yidden out there. With all the bad that comes with it, we have to focus on the good. It's a tremendous thing, and there's a lot of very, very happy families and friends and people. We should keep on releasing hostages, and we should know no more tsar. We are holding the Flam, the Gimel Amud Beis. 6 lines from the bottom. Yeah, I saw some new people. The one was by the door. Now where is he? You're new? Shalom Aleichem, what's your name? Shruly Schoenfeld. Okay, you put your till in his mom is perfect. Now I got Yisrael Yeshua Schoenfeld. Who else do we have? There was somebody else I saw. Shalom Aleichem, you're not new. Where did I just see you? Last year. Yeah, really? What's your name? Morty Gable. Shalom Aleichem. No, I do remember. I remember even the name. Bemis. I didn't put the face and the name together. But not a joke. There's somebody else. I know. There's some guy that walked in and he was sitting by the door. no, that's Taki. Taki's here. He's here all year. He just leaves once in a while to America. Okay. Dina Mamanis, the Mishnah tells us that when it comes to Mamanis, to monetary dispute, everybody could bring a raya for the negative, for the positive. And then we're really focusing now not on monetary, we're focusing on din nefashos, on capital punishment. Anybody could come by and say, I found the zechus, I could get this guy out of it, but not for chayva. Not everybody is entitled to have an opinion here when it comes to find the guy guilty. Says the Mishnah Hakol. What Hakol means? Everyone, and to include what? Hakol. You and I, we're regular people. So what's Hakol? Hakol comes to include something special. Vafilu Edim. Even the Edim who testify, they can find a positive thing to pull the guy out of the nefashos. They shouldn't be chayiv misa. Ne'masnisa Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yudi v'loy Rabbanon. L'chayra, this is Rabbi Yosef. Why? The Sanya ve'ed echad lo ya'aneh b'nefesh ben l'schus ben l'chayva. It talks about a nefesh. Now we're talking about nefashos, about killing somebody. So the Tanakhama says that the aid should not open his mouth even to find this murderer not guilty. So our Mishnah and Rabbi Yosef go together. That the aid, echad. This is the one testifying. Gary, I was just asking Dave if the camera is focused 100%. It doesn't look so focused to me. I don't know. Is that a yes? Is that a no? Huh? Check. Okay. I might be off. Just maybe it's my lenses. So Rabbi Yosef Rebuta says, no. The aid, the one testifying, which is a big chiddush because he's biased, if he finds something, he comes along and says, well, listen, I think this guy should get off the hook. We listen to him. Not if he's trying to say something l'chayva. Just say your testimony and leave. Don't try to find zechus here. But for zechus, yes, says Rabbi Yosef. The Tanakhama says no. So our Mishnah goes like Rabbi Yosef. Omer Apapa, be'echad, not a raya. Our Mishnah is not referring to aid. When the Mishnah says hakol, it's referring to talmidim. And what do I gain by that? Says Rav Papa. This doesn't have to be Dafka Rabbi Yosef. This could be anybody. That a Talmud sitting there on the side, an intern, could bring proof to let him off the hook. My time in the Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda, where did Rabbi Yosef Yehuda get his idea that an aid could testify for zechus when it comes to nefashos, for zechus and not for chayva? The Omar Kra aid echad lo yana b'nefesh lamos. When doesn't the aid open his mouth? When don't we listen to him? When it comes lamos to die. Lamos hu de'eino oina, aval zechus oina. Only if it causes the individual, the defendant, to die, then he can't speak. But if the opposite, if it takes him out of his problem, then we listen to him. Rabbanan say, aid can't say anything. Even a zechus he can't open his mouth for. So what are they going to do with lamos?
He's not an aid though.
Who? The aid? Oh no. This is Rabbi Yosef. That's Rav Papa. That's Rav Papa. We're going back. Yeah, we're going back. Good point. Rabbanan who argue and they say you can never say anything. We never listen to the aid. So why does it say the word lamos? Omer Shlakish mishum the Mexican ageya beidusai. So says Rish Lakish that the pshat is what's the Rashi explains this. What causes the Edom to say the truth and to keep straight and not dray a cup? There's something hanging over their head. What does the Rabbi say? Hazama. There's one thing that threatens them. If you come to Bezdin saying that so-and-so killed somebody, you better be saying the truth because we could find out that you were in a certain place. We'll have witnesses that testify that at that point you were somewhere else. And then they'll kill you. Oh, that's scary. But what if an aide has a way out? The aide, as he sees that they're closing in on him, he'll start looking for ways to get the murder out of the murder charge. So he's biased. So therefore, we can't listen to anything that he has to say, even l'schus, because at the end of the day, he's going to try to get out of his own death penalty by coming up with with a positive thing and prove that the guy's not a murderer. V'Rabbanan? Huh? Yeah, that's why we don't listen to him say Rabbanan. We never listen to this guy. Rabbanan, hi lamos my darshan, right? Mukmilei be'echad min hatalmidim, that it's aid can never say, he can never testify. Zechus, chayva, nothing, zero, because he's always biased. But when the Torah says the word lamos, and it's dafka for misa, we don't listen. So who are we talking about? Over here we're talking about the Talmud, the intern. We don't listen to him to kill the defendant, but we listen to him for the zechus. If it's an aid, so check this out. Yoshi did a cool thing here. The pasuk has all these words in it. The Gemara is going to do a very interesting thing here. We're going to learn 2 limudim, and each limud is going to use part of these words here. First limud is the first 4 psukim. Here's his tape. Ve'ed echad lo yana. Eid echad cannot say anything. In any case. Because the end of the pasuk says lamos. So we don't want to use that word lamos, because lamos is not good for us in this case. Lamos means only to cause his death. No. Eid shuts his mouth for everything, even to cause him to go free. We said he's biased. And then we use the next part of the pasuk. Echad lo yana, we dump the aid. We don't use the word aid. We read the pasuk brand new. Echad, as if there's no pasuk before. Echad lo yana b'nefesh lamos. There's certain people that cannot testify to cause this guy to die. Who is that? A Talmud. Interesting way to learn the pasuk. So that we learn from the first 4 words. Oh, this can't testify anything. How do you know that a Talmud, the intern, cannot bring the negative? Dafka to die, but if he wants to testify, l'schos, we listen to him. Dinan nefashis, hamalamed. Yeah, of course. Aid is negeh b'dover, and we listen to Aid, so certainly, yeah. Who says that? He does, or you're saying? Okay. Dinan nefashis, hamalamed. So now we have a little bit of a sugya. We discussed this in the Mishnah. It seems simple, and here the Gemara talks about it. Now what? The Mishnah tells us, if you just read the simple words in the Mishnah, that when somebody comes to Bezdin, one of the Dayanim in Bezdin, he's the one, he's on the team not guilty team. So the Mishnah says he doesn't have the right to switch his opinion. He said not guilty, it's not guilty, you stick with it. But wait a minute, he really believes now that he is guilty. What do you mean stick with it? So we said the pshat is, he has to stick with it all the way through the whole process, all the deliberation and everything. At the end, when it comes to the vote, he's going to have to, then he'll switch his taina. Omarav, lo yishanu ela b'shas masu maton, that's during the deliberation, he cannot switch his opinion. Once you say not guilty, you have to stick with it, and you have to prove to everybody else that he's not guilty, even though now you might have switched your own opinion to guilty. Al b'shas gemardin, but once we're coming to vote, it's all the way at the end. If a guy says he's not guilty, and he fights with all his friends, and he's trying to prove not guilty, and nobody listens to him, and at the end, when it comes to the big vote, they ask all the 23 Dayanim, what do you vote? He's going to say guilty. Everybody will look at him like he's crazy, because he was fighting there, just standing and fighting for the not guilty cause, but he really is voting guilty. But that's how it is. The Torah says, you have a chiyuv, we should try as hard as we can to find this guy not guilty. Now we found a good candidate. Here, you started off saying not guilty, so stick with it. That's how far we're going to go with it. You have to stick with it. You can't be a wishy-washy. You can't say, oh, you start off guilty, not. No. Once you say not guilty, stick with it. You're going to have to be a defense lawyer all the way through, but all the way at the end, when the emes comes, when we say, is he really not guilty? No. He really is guilty. I know that he's guilty, and I'm gonna vote for the guilty. Now the Gemara is going to ask a bunch of questions here on Rav. Is it true that a dayan who starts off, because that's not the simple meaning in the Mishnah. The Mishnah says that a dayan who says not guilty must stay with it all the way through. All the way even through the Gemara Din. That's your pshat. So let's see if it sticks. Meisvei, Lamachas Mashkim Bayim. This is next parak in about 6 days. Daf Mem. The next morning, they get up. I'm sticking to my guns. I said he's not guilty, he's not guilty. I say guilty, I'm sticking to my guns, he's chayiv. And then the Mishnah says that the one who says guilty could switch and say not guilty. But the one who says not guilty cannot switch to guilty. As the Gemara Kashan Rav, you just said you could switch, and the Gemara proves it even more. When can't he switch? Tomorrow. It says they woke up the next day. So it's already the Gemara Din. It's already at the end, and it says you're not allowed to switch your opinion. And Rav said you could switch your opinion. Rav doesn't back down. Rav knows about this Mishnah. Rav is a Tana. He learned by Rebbe. He knows this Mishnah. It says Gemara Rav Tameich. What do you think? They don't continue deliberating? You don't think that they wake up the next morning and they start fighting all over again? Of course, the deliberation. What the Mishnah says over there that you can't switch your opinion from not guilty to guilty is during the deliberations of the next morning. I'm talking about by the Gemara Din. You could switch. Okay, so you didn't get Rav. Tashma, another question. So we deliberate back and forth, and we try to get one of the parties who says guilty to switch his opinion to not guilty. But it doesn't talk about what Rav says. They could go from not guilty to guilty. V'misa, listen to Nami Yibcha. Why is it not mentioned that we try to get one of the guys, or we try to get what it says in the Mishnah, we try to get one of the Dayanim who said guilty to switch to not guilty. Why don't we say maybe one of the not guilties is going to switch to guilty? So you see that you don't do that. The reason, listen, says Gemara, no. Tana's trying to talk in a nice, proper way. We want to get the guy off the hook. We're not trying to kill somebody here. Tana's the Tana didn't mention it, but of course you could do it. You could switch from not guilty to guilty. Just the Tana is not going to go into that. Tashma. Another question. Very interesting. One of the viewers of the case, one of the interns, one of the Talmidim, decided he has a good reason to say that this guy is not guilty. And then he dies. Now, typically speaking, we'll consider his opinion. We said, even a Talmud has the right to say his opinion. And we're going to count him in the vote. But he died. Does his opinion stand or not? Here, it goes quickly, so what it is here's the Talmud, and he takes over his position. He's been kaimai. So I don't know, Yoshi Paskin, I wasn't so sure if there's 23 dayanim plus a Talmud, is it 24 dayanim? Yoshi Paskin, it's only 23 now. Like it kind of fits into somebody's, okay, I'm not so sure about that. Could be this 24. If there's other Talmud didn't have to say, so it's a bezin of 27. I'm not sure we have to come back to the 23. The point is, he's as if he's alive, his opinion counts. It's a stronger question than I even realized. Now, I'm thinking to myself now, if the halach is like Rav, I'm just explaining what I'm thinking now in my head. If the halach is like Rav, that you should never switch your opinion. If you say not guilty, you don't switch your opinion until the Gemara Din. But this individual never had a chance to switch his opinion by Gemara Din. He died before the Gemara Din. So how do you know that he wouldn't switch at the Gemara Din? Maybe he's just keeping what Rav said, that you have to keep quiet and say not guilty until the last minute. But the Gemara says, at the end of the day, we heard from his mouth, not guilty. We're going to use that as one of the votes. It's a little hard. I get it. But maybe he doesn't really believe it. Maybe he's just saying it because the Mishnah told him he has to keep that opinion. Says Gemara. Now you're trying to fit this Rabbi Yosef ben Chanina, that one of the Talmidim, Yechiel Moshe, with Rav, and it fits him beautifully because now, at the end of the day, he never got a chance to switch his opinion, so we're going to keep his original opinion. But the problem is, Mutza means we take him out, and he doesn't fit in with Rabbeinu. Rabbeinu is Rav. In other words, Rabbi Yosef Chanina and Rav don't get along. And we just said they do get along. Says the Gemara, you have to just stick in one word, Ein Mutza Itmar. You should know that that was not what it was said. What was said is that he does get along with Rav. Okay. Tashma. There's literally in 2 days a Mishnah. Shnei Seifrei Hadayanim Oimdim Lifneim Echad Men HaYamin Ve'echad Men HaSmol. You have this whole Bezdin 23, and then you have the two guys that write down everything that's happening in the Bezdin. One is standing on the right, one is standing on the left. And they write everything that everybody's talking about. The claims. You say that he's not guilty. Why? What's his source? You have a pasuk? Okay, we write it down. You say he's chayav. What's your source? Write it down. They're not just writing down. Reuven said Zakai. Shimon said chayav. They're writing down the raya, the proof. Says the Gemara, and this is a big chiddush. I don't think anybody knew this coming into the shir today. I can understand Moridik because there's a big chiddush here. What's pshat? So says Rashi over here, unbelievable. We know that when you say the guy's guilty, if you say he's not guilty, everybody goes home that day. But if you say guilty, what's the halacha? You have to sleep on it. You have to go home, sleep on it. Check this out. Let's say you said guilty, because it says in the pasuk, the next day you come, you say, no. He's guilty because it says a different pasuk. So, not a zechus, same chayva, just different pasuk. Do you have to sleep on it again? Yes. Says Rashi, you have to sleep on it again. The Gemara says it. Rashi's just explaining, bring it out. Says Rashi, and if you come tomorrow and you give another reason for your same opinion, guilty, for the second opinion, you need to sleep on it also. Oh, so it makes a lot of sense. The Sefer of Bezin needs to write down on day one, why do you say guilty? Great. The next day, we're going to remember, oh, you came up with a new pasuk. Oh, Rabbi Isai, go to sleep. Can't pass him today. How do I know that it's new? Because I wrote it down. I have it in writing. You said yesterday a different pasuk. Now it's this pasuk. Great. So now I know why you have to write it. But explain to me, why do I need to write down why people say the reason in the zechus? There's no halonas hadin by zechus. The whole point is that we need to know, do you need to sleep on it another night? That's only when you say guilty. But on a non-guilty verdict or opinion, you don't sleep on it. You never sleep on it. Even one night you don't sleep. If everybody says not guilty, you go home that day, during the day. You don't sleep with it. So certainly if he comes up a second time, he says not guilty, but I have another source, so certainly you're not going to sleep on it. So then what's the point of writing it? Elamai, you want to make sure that he didn't switch his opinion. Okay, so for that you write the words, Reuven, Zakai. You don't have to write the reason behind it. But what is the real reason you write it? The real reason you're writing it is because maybe you made such a mistake of a baby, that even a baby knows your mistake, a tzduki knows your mistake. Oh, for that, I get it. But at the end of the day, you see that you cannot take it back. You can't take it back. So the Gemara says, Loi. The reason why I write it down is so this is you see this throughout Shas. The Torah is perfect. There's no extra word in the Torah, and there's certainly no extra pasuk in the Torah. The Torah doesn't have two psukim saying the same halacha anywhere. So if I say this guy's guilty because of pasuk A, and you say this guy's guilty, you agree with me that he's guilty, but pasuk B, so we have a problem. Which one is it? So I can only count one out of the two. So two people here now are counted as one dayan, because you're both saying guilty, but you bring two sources, you're both wrong. Not both wrong. One of you is wrong. I need to cancel one of you. You hear what's going on? If both of you say guilty and you bring the same pasuk, so you count it as two dayanim. You're saying the truth. But if both of you say he's guilty and you're bringing two separate psukim, one of you is lying. Because there's no two psukim in the Torah that are saying the same thing. So one of you I know for sure, for a fact, is off. So I have to cancel one of you. I'm not going to count you as a guilty verdict. That's why I need to write it down. Or as a not guilty, sorry, as non-guilty. That's why we write down everything. No, he's not guilty. He's claiming, why are we writing not guilty? He's not, and you cannot be, no. Then you're saying the wrong thing. You can't put a guy to death, and you say I'm putting him to death because he killed somebody, and another guy say because he's Michal Shabbos. But the mice at the end of the day, he's Chayav Misa. That doesn't work like that. You have to say he's guilty because, says the Gemara, they both said the same halacha. There's no contradiction in the halacha. But Mishnei Mikrais, they brought two different psukim. The two people count as one dayan because one of them was a mistake. How do you know you don't learn from two psukim? It says in Tehillim, Achaz diber Elokim. Hashem spoke once. Shtayim zu shamati. From one pasuk I can learn two halachas. Ki yoyz Elokim. So the Gemara darshans, Mikra echad yoyz l'kam ta'amim. I can learn two halachas from one pasuk. But one halacha is not learned from two psukim. And now we go into a whole sugi here. The Be'er Shmuel Tanakh ukepatish yifoyt Sara. I thought it's very interesting. First of all, kapatish yifoyt Sara. I was told I didn't get there. I don't even do Rashi now. Shamshi Shlavik said there's a Rashi in our parasha. So Kisrim Hashem. Kapatish yifoyt Sara. He said this twice in the whole. He said he looked it up. It's twice. What? So. Dr. Epstein told me, because I'll say this, because people were telling me, so why don't you push Rashi? Last night I said it's in Rashi, and I said, So Dr. Epstein said a lashon. You want to say it?
The enemy of good
is better. The enemy of good is better. So a guy, and I said this in Shir last night to the Israelis, and a guy raised his hand. What does it mean? The enemy of good is better. Just be good. Just do Shnai Mikra. You want to do Rashi? Don't tell anybody about it. But don't force yourself to do Rashi. Because what happened, the guy rose, he says, I took upon myself to do Rashi, and I'm not doing Shnai Mikra right now. Because that's the enemy of good. You want to be even better than good. Just be good. One thing at a time. I want to learn 6 Masechtas at the same time, and then you just fall off the whole daf also. Lot. Yeah, one day you'll get there. Yeah, but finish one cycle. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying it's, okay. I bring it up only because some guy screamed out, and Kobe Sella said at the, screamed out, forget it. I'm Haaretz in English, and I'm Haaretz in Hebrew, and that's the way I'll remain.
That's what we have.
Baruch Hashem. It's fun. Mechiyat kapayim, macha kapayim, don't ask. It's a disaster. So, Kobe Sella said, what? Don't go for too much. The fast like the fast. Do the basics first, and if that works out for you, then you add to it. But don't jump in. Okay. Oh, I want to do Daf Yomi, but I also, you know what? Let me do 16 chazaras, and let me start from brachas also. And then once I'm at brachas, you might as well do Shabbos. So I'm going to do 4 Daf a day. And those things usually don't last. That's not important right now. I'm not there yet. I didn't even finish the next line.
Two different psukim.
Oh, yeah, exactly my point. That's why I started saying. And this is 2 psukim. You're bringing 2 psukim to say the same thing. Great. I pointed that out last night, and I'm getting there. So, Rabbi Isai, the simple pshat in the pasuk is this. This is the simple pshat in the pasuk here. You have a stone, like a hammer breaks a stone. But that's not what we're saying here, really. In fact, what we're saying is that the patish itself, the hammer breaks into pieces. That's, the Rishonim discuss it, the different pshatim Rishonim. But that's how we're learning. Patish, patish zeh, the Gemara says, the hammer could break it when it tries to break a diamond or whatever. It'll break into a few pieces. So too, one pasuk could break into. You could learn a few halachas from one pasuk, but not the opposite. You can't learn the same halacha from 2 psukim. Give me a good example where 2 people are saying the same halacha, but they learn from 2 sources. So this is literally why we have Gemara teaches us how every word is important in Torah, and there's not an extra pasuk. And now we're going to go on a little bit of a tour. It's unbelievable. We're going into like Kachim here. A lot of people are not familiar with Bechlal, but it's Gishmak stuff. Very, very Gishmak. I can't wait. I'm not joking. Menachas, Zvachim, Chulin, unbelievable. So Gemara says like this: Omer Zvid, Kiznan, Mizbeach Mekadesh Asaroi Eloi. So the guy that did the props for our Shabbaton, and he did an unbelievable job. He did a mock-up of the staircase coming into MDY. Mamish, it was life size. Shmuel Weisberg. He sent me this. He gave me a gift at this is not easy to make. We had this during something like this during Chulin Yuma, whatever. And the guy wanted $1,000 for it, and then I offered him $1,000. And he said, no, this side I can't sell it. It's too hard. All right, he made it out of wood. This is wood. We just need this for a few small things, but it's gishmak to have a nice prop. This is the Chut Sikra, the red line. Some blood is sprinkled below the red line, some above the red line. It goes like this. You bring a carbon, you bring the stuff onto the mizbeach. The halacha is, if let's say you have a puzzle carbon, for whatever reason the Cohn had the wrong thought while he was doing he was mafagal it in his mind. He said, "I'm going to eat it outside of the time, outside of the place." Puzzle. Don't put it on the mizbeach. Comes a Cohn, doesn't listen to halacha, or comes a Cohn and he didn't know. He takes the carbon, puts it on top of the mizbeach. The carbon is good. Do not remove it. Leave it. That's the kivin sha'Allah shuv lo yered, one of the halachas. So we're going to get to the mizbeach in a second. So this halacha, mizbeach mekadesh es haroyaloi. Even if it's puzzle, the mizbeach has the power to make it kadosh. Rabbi Shua Omer kol haroy liishim im Allah lo yered. Anything that could be that you could bring as a carbon, yes. One limud ma oila shiruya liishim, like a carbon oila. You put it on a fire, ishim, the fire, imolsa lo yitered. Of course, shiruya liishim imolsa lo yered. We're going to explain what that means in a second. Where's the nafkamina? Something that goes on the fire. In other words, a carbon. The same exact halacha. Shenemar hiya oila al moigdal mizbeach. Of course, same halacha. And what they're both saying the same exact thing, that if you have a carbon that's no good and somebody puts it on, don't take it off. But one learns from the word maikta. We're learning the same halacha from two sources. So that's a good example. It's an example of learning the same halacha from two sources. But the Gemara says, no, that's not a good example. There's in fact a machloikis there. The blood. Here's a picture. That's one of the avodas real quickly. There's 4 avodas when you shech the carbon. Shechting the carbon, slicing its throat, shchita. Then you have to receive the blood in that vessel that the Cohn has. You receive the blood. That's Kabbalah. Then you walk to the mizbeach and tzelacha, and then you sprinkle it, and that's the main part of the avodah, of the end of it. You sprinkle. So, but blood is not something you put over here. Where do you put blood? So first of all, I just want to, like I showed you before, this corner right over here, the shtaim shem arba, you sprinkle like this, and it goes on both, and then right over here on this side. Now, whatever's left over, if you notice, I don't know if you could see, there's 2 holes right over here. Right by my finger. See these 2 holes? Okay. And there's also 2 holes right over here. So that's where you pour the wine, on top, over here. You pour wine over here, and the leftover blood over here, and the blood. But you don't put the wine on the fire, and you don't put the blood on the fire. So it has to be li'ishim, it has to be something similar. The only thing that the mizbech is mechaper is something that you put on the fire, but not wine. Rabbi Gamliel says no. Anything that has to do with the mizbeach, wine, blood, you put it up there, don't take it down. Take it down because it's not something you put on the mizbeach. So what's a good? So in other words, there is a machlokes. If there's a machlokes, then that's why they use 2 sources. I understand now why there's two sources. Remember, are very similar. Same kind of sugya. Almost identical. Anything that touches the mizbeach becomes kaddish yomani, bein roya, bein shein roya. Even something that's not acceptable to be on a mizbeach. We're going to say what that is in a second. It has to be like sheep. Makvasim ru'im afkol roy. You cannot put on the mizbeach a deer. You can't say, oh, I put a deer, I'm not going to take it off. Deers don't go on the mizbeach. You can't put in, first in Torah, you can't put you can't put honey on the mizbeach. So this comes to exclude honey. Ruyin has to be roy, something that could. I learned from a different word. The same idea, same halacha exactly, a different word. So that's a good example of the same halacha learned from two different psukim. Oila, called roy, just like oila is roy, so it has to be, can't be a deer, can't be honey. They're both coming to say that it was possible, you don't take it off. They learned it from two different words. So you see, this is a little bit of a problem to what we're saying, that you don't learn the same halacha from two psukim. No, that's not a problem. There is enough community. This is a machlokes, and since it's a machlokes, they're learning from the two different words. Now what? The oila bird, when you sprinkle the blood, you sprinkle it above the red line. It's different than an animal. An oila animal, you sprinkle below the red line, on this corner. The oila bird, above the red line, over here. So it's different. MMA law, it comes to exclude the bird. This is machlokes in that. Only if you put a puzzle sheep or a behemoth on top of the mizbeach, you don't take it off. But if you put a puzzle bird on the mizbeach, take it off immediately. Yeah. Let's just finish this. Okay, so since we do have a machlokes between the two, it makes sense that they learn it from two different words. Turning to the Daf Tevis, Berkovici family in honor of the MDY Daf champions, Leo Shamshi Shlavrak, Uncle Freddie, Mr. Gross, and the Refuah name of our fearless leader in chief, Chaim Gabriel Ben Tzivulano, by the members of the Monsey Fire Department. And Yaakov Citron Films, Strategic Video Production. Zog Daily Gemara. Elo Maravashi. I have another thing. Similar. Kidesanyo. Dom Yechoshav Lo Ishahu Dom Shafach. This is referring to, there's something called a bama. I love this picture from the Dharma. This is a guy, fancy house in Monsey, and with the tennis court, but he has a shtickle mizbeach going on in the backyard. He likes to, I don't know why the word bama there, okay. Yeah, you're right. That you add that to this, it's interesting. They're playing. The Tesla went flying off. Did anybody see the Tesla in the background? It's like a runway for his private jet in Tom's River, you're right. Tom's River. Shine. Kitzer, if you have a bama, it's not good. And if you shecht an animal on that thing, you're chayiv kares, like Misa. Dam yechashiv lishahu, dam shafach. He killed something. Dam shafach, he spilled blood, he's chayiv Misa. So the Gemara says, l'rabbis is a zarek. This also comes to include not only the shechting action, doing shchit on an animal, but also pouring the blood on this bama, like so, like this. That's one of our artists. This is another artist. You get the point. Two different artists. We had one is learning. This is the learner. This is our. So here he's spilling the blood on a backyard bama. Also chayiv kares. This just reminded me of a story because the story itself is a story about remembering something else. This just triggered my memory. I figured I'll break up the sugya a little bit with I thought it was a beautiful story. Simple story, but beautiful. There was a kid in school here in Israel. He comes home, he sees his mother making this giant birthday cake. So he says, is there any way that you can make one for me? I want to bring to school. I want to show my friends, nice cake. She said, of course. So she had the little leftover batter. And she made him a little tiny cake, this big, and she put it on the counter. To her horror, she wakes up in the morning. She's going to bring this beautiful cake to her friend at work, and there is no cake. The kid switched the big one. He thought the big one was for him. He left her he takes the cake to school. Here in Eretz Yisrael, I just got an email actually from, this is just going from story to story, an email from a Rebbe in Cheder here said that he gives out one bottle of soda at the end of the week to the best kid in the class, and it's a whole thing. You take the bottle, you give to all your family. He says he forgot the bottle, he went to Beita, a whole maisa. The kids somebody from MDY bought a bottle for this kid. And I'm thinking to myself, in America, a bottle of soda, they make it's a whole, I get a bottle of soda from my Rebbe, and he's Mesamech, this kid. Some guy, he was just trying to show the Mishpachas MDY. The guy went out of his way. Okay, this kid, imagine coming to school, the giant birthday cake, with all the cream and all the stuff. The Rebbe came into the class, the Rebbe called the principal, and they made a whole record, and all the kids were his friend, the whole thing. Fine. The mother decided she's not going to say a word. It doesn't make sense. He made an honest mistake. He didn't do it on purpose. Nothing. This kid, at his vart, he gets up, and he says, I want to thank my mother. She saved my life. He says, one day, him and his friends decided that they're going off the derech. They're going to fly to another country, and when they get to the next country, they're going to call up the parents. So they go to the airport, and he sees a guy holding a giant cake. And it triggered his memory, and he said, wow, my mother did this for me, and then mom, she stood up at night and the whole thing. How can I do this to her? Got back in the taxi, went back home. So there's a Mari de Kamaisa. It has everything to do with the sugya. Look inside here. No, sometimes things belong in different places. I had the story to say. It's geschmack. Okay. No, a guy came over to me after Shir, and he said, you weren't sure, how the story really fit in here, so you should just know that just the other day, I was thinking about going off a shtickle, and he told me the whole thing, how the Shir, you watch it, he comes here all the time, this Bacher. I'm saying Shir guy, I'm not joking. I think Benny even heard him say it. Who was there? Somebody was there. No. This is Dami Shah. This is Shchut Echutz. This thing's a carbon belongs inside, doesn't belong here. Whatever. Just trigger my memory. Zogting Gemara. L'Rabbi says Zarek. Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Kiva Omer, Oy Zavach l'Rabbi says Zarek. Okay, they're learning the same halacha that even when you sprinkle the blood outside of the Beis Hamikdash, you're also chayev kares, but from different words. V'tarvayu mai. V'tarvayu Maikom Rabu Zrika, they're both coming to learn the same exact halacha. Mar Ma'isilam Midam Yichashu, Mar Ma'isilam Yizavach, and both of them are learning it from the same halacha, but from different psukim. As the Gemara says, the Gemara of Omer Bavo Shochav Zar. No. Once again, we're going to try to do this thing. That what? You think that's the same halacha, and they're learning from two different sources. No. There is a machlokes here, and therefore they're learning from two different sources. The question is, in Hilchos Shabbos, if a person has one awareness of Shabbos, like he doesn't know it's Shabbos, he's in Hawaii, he didn't realize in Hawaii Shabbos is also for 2 days, whatever. He does melacha over and over and over. So he's only chayav one carbon because he wasn't aware that it's Shabbos. If somebody notified him in the middle of the day and said, hey, that it's Hawaii over here, it's Shabbos today, and he continues to do melacha, then he's chayav 2. So here also, if he has, it's one avodah or one non-avodah of sprinkling, shechting outside of Beis Hamikdash, is he chayiv 2 for the shechita and the zrika, or it's only 1? So that's a machlokes here. Shachan v'zara gig b'nayu. There Rabbi Shmuel in chayiv l'achas. It's one awareness. He's chayiv one carbon. Let's see, he didn't know that the bums are over. Nobody notified him that there's no more. They used to the shecht in the backyard. They used to sprinkle blood in the backyard, but not anymore. Says Gemara, so at the end of the day, we have a machlokes. That's why it's two sources. There is no machlokes. And if there's no machlokes, it's perfect. Here's a great example of two Tanoim who say the same exact halacha and they learn from two different sources. That's what we don't like. It's all one. Okay, so we have a great source of what? Two Tanoim saying the same exact halacha in all zrika, shchita, one avera, and they learn it from two different sources. Dinei mamanos v'donim bayom. Simon mishpat mate. How do you know that mamanis, you start off the din during the day and you can finish it even at night? You can do a judgment at any time you want. even at night. So why do you have to start the din Torah during the daytime? Says Gemara, the Rabbi Rami. It goes like Rabbi Rami asks the contradiction. It says you could judge at any time you want. When it comes to Yerusha, which is Mamanis, only during the day. Okay, so how do we rectify this? To start off a judgment, the Torah says, it has to be during the day. And then we use the second pasuk. When do you finish it off? Even at night, anytime. And this doesn't go like Rabbi Meir. The pasuk says the word a fight, meaning a monetary dispute together with Saras, what's the connection? You make a hekesh and you learn all the halachas from Dina Mamanis from Tzaras and Tzaras from Dina Mamanis. That what? Managoyim beyoim. When here it goes like this: a person has an affliction. This is his hand, and all of a sudden some white spot comes on his hand and 2 hairs. So what does he do? He goes to the kohen. He shows the kohen his nega. It can only go to the kohen, a single kohen, and he shows him the thing, and the kohen says, "Okay, get out of here. You have to leave. You have to go into. We put you away." So there's a few halachas here. Just like the kohen checks it out only during the daytime, you can't look. There's no light at night. How is he going to see? The is only during the day. And this is the question. This is that's why it doesn't go like Remeir. Remeir, if we stop right over here, this is where we have to stop. Though, not for this shir, for this pshat. The Remeir says that Rivim, Din Amabanis, is only during the day, and he doesn't explain what. He means, L'chayra, even the Gemar Din. Even the second part is during the day only, not like our Mishnah who says, you finish at night. Another halacha. Just like, obviously, the kohen can't be a blind man. The chsiv, l'chol mari einei kohen, has to be in front of his eyes. So the dayanim who sit in the bezdin, they can't be blind. Just like when it comes to and now we go the opposite way. We're learning from din Torah to tzaras, just like a din Torah, you can't be a relative. So too, the tzaras, you can't be a relative. Imar Rivim asked the Gemara, Din Torah we know. How many in Din Torah? B'shloisha. I spoke to my son Akiva Simcha last night, and that's the question I asked him. I said, how many people sit on a regular Torah? 3. How many sit on for Misa? 23. I wanted to make sure that he's not bluffing here. I spoke to both my sons yesterday about the daf. We had a lot to shmooze about. Vidinu. I asked them, do I make you cringe? Do I embarrass you? And they both said no. I was very surprised because as a son, your father always makes you cringe. It's uncomfortable. My older son said, yeah, there was one thing you said today, but he didn't remember what it was. And then I chapped. Hey! Now they're cringing. But I chapped. They're actually listening. You got to be careful. It wasn't in my mind until then. Vidinu. I don't get it. How could one kohen decide something and that's bodily harm? You're causing this guy to go into who knows where. He has to leave the machn and everything. It's a lot worse than judging him for $100. $100 you need 3 people. So how come judging his tzaras, one is enough? That's because it's exeris hakasa. We don't ask questions. One decides it. It's a pasuk. You're right. Without this pasuk, I would say it's 3. Because I would compare it to Dinim Mamas. Says Gemara, so you see from here even 1. Says Gemara's story, there was a blind man. Now you must write with your pencil in here, what kind of blind man? He wasn't blind in 2 eyes. Obviously there's only 1 eye. It has to be. He lived in the neighborhood of Rabbi Yochanan. He was a dayan. He didn't say a thing. Says Gemara, when you have a Mishnah without any names, that's a raya that Rebbe wanted to institute that as halacha. He said, this is the halacha. I'm not even going to bring any names. It's unanimous. Everybody agrees to this. And what does it say in the Stam Mishnah? It's a Mishnah in Nida. Then everybody that could be a judge could testify. But there is somebody that could testify and cannot be a judge. That a blind man in 1 eye cannot judge. So how did he let him judge? Says Gemara, very good. we have our Mishnah, and he proved it from our Mishnah. It's also a Stam Mishnah that a blind man in one eye could judge the what? It says, let me ask you the question. Who could see better? A regular human being that has two eyes and has great eyesight in the middle of the night, in the time of the Gemara, without LEDs and fluorescence, at night, or a man with one eye during the day. Who sees better? One eye during the day, for sure. So, Danim Maminis, it says in our Mishnah, Danim Maminis, Danim Bayoim, V'goyrim B'layla. You could finish the din Torah at night, but at night you can't see well. You definitely see less than a guy with one eye. It's interesting, the Sma in Siman Hey says that if you light a bunch of candles, certainly this kind of stuff that we have today, we don't have candles, we have crazy light. It's more than daytime light. You could be done at night, he says. It's unbelievable. That's the Sma. I don't know how we pass it. The Sma in Shulchan Aruch, look it up in Siman Hey. So, okay, so he found our Mishnah. But as the Gemara, you have two Stam Mishnahs. Why did he pick our Mishnah over that Mishnah in Nida? In that Mishnah, it seems like a one-eyed man cannot judge. Over here it says you could. Why is our Mishnah better? Because that Mishnah is only Reb Meir, and ours is the Rabbim. You go with the Roiv. This is a great one. Over there was brought down as a side point. But over here we're talking Echadin Mamanis. What's the name of our Mishnah? Echadin Mamanis. This is the parak. We're learning Hilchas. These are halachas l'maisa. It's one halacha after another. This is halacha l'maisa more than the one in Nida. What does Remeir do? With the pasuk it says b'chaleis, you can judge all the time, even at night. How can we say you could only judge during the day? A cloudy day. Bisnan, I would think that a cloudy day is no good. Bisnan, you cannot look at a terrace. A Cohn cannot look early morning when the sun is not out 100%. And during that, by the way, I have to ask, not to blow noses. If you blow your nose as though but I got a bunch of complaints. You hear it like a tkik doila and it ruins the shir. There's ways. If anybody needs to learn how to blow a nose, I'll talk to them afterwards. Sir, Shmuel, you're a boy say, come on.
What about sneezing?
The sneezing and the sneezing, Rabbi said, there's ways to sneeze. I'll teach you also how to sneeze. But the sneeze that shakes up the guy. Poor guy's trying to sleep over the shear in New York, and you wake him up with your sneeze.
Laughing's okay?
Laughing is geschmack. It's approved. And right, I say, no, seriously, this has nothing to do with it. I didn't notice it. I didn't notice. But what? I don't know. People wrote in emails that we got to do something about this. I guess the microphone picks it up or something. It really bothers a bunch of people. So it says the Gemara, it's not a and not what?
A lot of people?
3 people. I'm not joking. 3 people. And that's a lot. When they have time to take out for that. And not, this is it. Do not look at a nega b'yom. Rabbi said, tell me what this says over here. You're not going to believe this. Mipnei shekeya niris aza. Sometimes the bleakness is bright, and sometimes the brightness is bleak. Do whatever you want to do with this. You say your own pshat here, because the light could affect. It has to be bright. In order for it to be tamei, it has to be bright. And sometimes you have too much light, it looks dull. Sometimes dull looks bright. I don't know. We have to stop here. We're literally in the middle of a word. Maybe we can find. Okay, let's just stop. We'll start over there. Unfortunately, Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day.